Welcome to the How to Become a Professional Actor podcast with Jade Hassouné, the place where we explore the practical steps and the mindset required to launch and build a successful acting career. Whether you're just starting out and have never done this before, but you dream of doing it big, or if you want to take your acting career to the next level, this place is for you. So let's get going. Welcome back to this amazing podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being back for episode 2. Before I get into what I want to talk about today, which you probably know because of the title, I just wanted to say I've been trying for a week now to get the podcast on Apple Podcasts, which is my favorite platform for podcasts, honestly. And there's some glitch with the iCloud or the Apple site where it just endlessly asks me to sign in. And I tried, I worked with Apple Care and they tried to do everything, but it doesn't work. So I don't know when the podcast will be on Apple Podcasts. I hope it gets there sometime soon. I have to figure out if I'll change platforms for it to be distributed to Apple Podcasts. Anyways, that being said, thanks for being back here. No matter how you're watching, I'm very excited that you're here and I appreciate it. So today I wanted to talk about a subject that I just can't let go. My logical mind wouldn't have necessarily gone there, but I feel like this could be something that's very useful for someone maybe like you who wants to start an acting career while having another career fully fledged and a whole other life that's already sort of established for you. Um, I'll give you a little bit about my experience and then I'll share lessons that I learned and then I'll give you my suggestion into what I would do if I had to start all over again. So I started 15 years ago and it went straight from theater school into working. And so I never had a real job, quote unquote, big time, quote unquote, because a real job usually means not following your dreams, right? So anyway, let's get into it. Let's unpack this. So, should you quit your job? What's my answer to that? My answer, honestly, is no. Do not quit your current job. Okay? You might be like, what, Jade? I want to follow my dreams. I agree. You want to follow your dreams, but this is what I did. Okay? When I started out, I actually never had a normal job, let's say. The way I started, yes, actually, I applied to a restaurant called Saint-Hubert here in Montreal. It's like a chicken restaurant. And I remember doing one day as a dishwasher when I was like 13 years old or something, and then quitting right away because I was like, nope, this is not my vibe. But at the same time, I also had a dance teacher job that I got. Sort of life just led me to become a teacher. Like I had started a breakdancing class and it was a very beginner class, but I've always been really quick at learning dance. And so one day after being in the class for maybe a month or two, the teacher called me and said, "Hey, Jade, I can't make it to my very young children's breakdancing class. You know enough. Do you want to take over for me?" And I said yes, and that's how it happened. I became a dance teacher, and then I continued my breakdancing course for a bit. Then I joined a hip hop team in high school, uh, and also a team in that same school. And then I ended up just continuing from that breakdancing class that I took over for one time. I became a full-time teacher after that, and then I had hip hop teaching as well. I was teaching kids while training full-time as a dancer. So anyway, so I never really had a real job until I was in college. In theater school, I took some restaurant jobs and I also worked at American Eagle, the clothing store. So that was my jobs as I went along. But I also did a lot of like animation. It always had to do with with acting-ish dance. I was like teaching dance. I was animating birthday parties and weddings and bar mitzvahs and things like that. So these were my sort of side gigs as I focused on acting. But this is where this becomes really relevant to you, is when I graduated from theater school, I actually booked my first acting contract, which was a 9-month tour of Canada doing 2 plays, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, with like puppets and everything. It was super cool. And another one which was a one-woman show, but I was like on stage with a woman talking. And I was very fortunate because I booked that gig, and maybe we'll get into the story of that, because there was only 2 spots, well, actually 1 spot for a guy, and they were seeing hundreds of people. And I really, 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 really wanted to get this gig. And this was the beginning of my understanding of manifestation and how your mindset and the universe, when you're aligned together, it really can come true for you. Okay, so we'll get into that in a different episode. But basically, I had a gig when I first graduated from college. My first contract, I was over the moon. I was going to travel for 9 months. I was going to get, I think, at $30,000, I think it was, for the year. And I was like, I'm rich. Let's go. I'm living my dreams. I'm living off of acting. I'm traveling. Like, all my dreams are coming true. Is this it for me? I'm not going to die because everything's so good. That's how I felt. And then I ended up applying to a conservatory, which was a mentorship program in Toronto. And I got in, and then I moved to Toronto, and it was 6 months. And then we'll get into the story of here. So now, between my 9-month acting theater contract and applying for the conservatory, I took every single job that I could. I did a lot of free work. I did a lot of volunteer type work. So basically, I took contracts, acting gigs, shows and things like that that were not going to pay me, but I was building my resume, right? So I was saying yes to everything, every audition, every opportunity. And I was also booking. I was booking some stuff that were paid, and I was booking some stuff that were not paid. But I knew that I was building towards something. Okay, so in that time, I booked my first film called Cyberbully, which is another manifestation story. Cyberbully, it was a Disney movie. I got to play a high school kid who was bullied, who was gay. It was amazing, and I just knew when I saw the breakdown of that audition that it was mine. I knew it was mine, and I was going to do everything possible to get this gig. I got some theaters, some musicals that were paid, and some theater gigs as well. So I kind of went off the momentum that I booked my first gig off of graduating from theater school from the beginning. And then that led into people kind of knowing me because I performed at different theaters with that first play. And then, when they saw me again, I was already sort of established in the city. They knew me, they trusted that I was, that I could do the job, and I ended up booking some stuff. So I did have somewhat of an easy beginning where I was booking, and I'm fortunate for that. But what I did wish that I would do differently is that I wish I'd still taken a job on the side. Okay. And I'll explain a little bit more as I go along. But what really helped me was my stubbornness that I've talked about in the previous episode. Is like, I was so stubborn. And I was like, good for you guys if you think acting is not possible or that it's meant for certain people. But for me, it's going to work. Okay. And that same stubbornness allowed me to go all in on acting, where I said, I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to put it all in this. I'm not going to take another job that might take me away from my path. And I'm going to just work my ass off on all the auditions, and I'm going to book the jobs, and I'm going to get my money from that. And that mindset really helped me because I had no other distractions, and I also did not have like a plan B. Okay. And I would recommend that for certain people. But now, after all these years and all the lessons I've learned, I wouldn't necessarily tell someone to do that. And I'll explain. I would like you to feel safe and to have a regulated nervous system as you go through this journey of starting to become an actor and transitioning from where you are now to where you want to be. Okay. Um, if you decide to go all in, there's a lot of things that come with that that might not be for everybody. Okay. If you're someone who can handle risk, can handle the unknown, can handle unpredictability, um, then go for it. If it's really going to inspire you and motivate you to get this right, to get this, go for it. But there's something in having that security and that safety that will allow you to do better work, to be honest. Usually the feeling of desperateness can be felt in auditions and in casting, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Um, if you're really able to fully believe that you can get this gig, that you can book work really fast, go for it. But it's so crazy to hear myself say this because I would never say this in the past. Because for me, it was like, if you can't go all in now and take the risk, then it's not going to happen, right? Or you don't want it hard enough or whatever. But this is what I ended up doing, okay? So I'll give you my reality that people don't know about. Nobody knows this. You're going to be like the first person to know this. Only the really close people in my life know this. Um, what I did after I did that conservatory in Toronto is that I refused to take a job. I graduated from that conservatory, which was a film conservatory. If you're curious, it's called the Canadian Film Center. And they usually take professionals that have already started working in the field, and then they train them even more. They bring guest mentors, and they kind of like boost their careers by introducing to other people in the industry and doing workshops and all kinds of stuff. In that establishment, they have something called the CBC Actors Conservatory. CBC is a major network in Canada. Um, and they produce TV shows and the news and all kinds of stuff, radio. And so I was fortunate because while training, they were giving us money, like we were being paid to train, which is amazing. And they're trying to create like a star system in Canada, which we don't really have, but it's coming slowly. And they kind of mentored us into the industry. It's a very condensed, intense program for 6 months. We had mentors, all kinds of people, from Oscar winners to lawyers to our movement teachers, the voice teacher, like all kinds of people came and gave us these workshops for 1 day, 1 hour, 2 weeks, like depending on each one. And then at the end, we had to create a short film to introduce us to the industry, and the casting directors had access to that, and they could see who we are, and blah blah blah. It's a very prestigious program. I think it was way better in the past, where like it had more of like a weight, like, oh, you did the conservatory, amazing. Now it's a little bit more diluted, but maybe it's just because I've been gone from it for 13 years now. Oh my god. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah. So when I graduated, I refused to take another job because of what it meant. It meant for me that I didn't believe fully in my dream. It meant that I would be distracted. It meant that I would be constricted and stuck somewhere. But see, this is a limiting belief that I had that I've only started to dismantle now in the last couple months, where I believe that if I worked something different than acting, it would prevent me from being free. When in reality, working and receiving money supports my freedom. It supports me to do what I really want. It supports me to have space and a relaxed nervous system to be able to put everything into my work, right? because I was so dysregulated, um, not having money for years, or not knowing how to make money outside of acting, during the lockdowns and the COVID times, right? So that was a major source of struggle and fear for me. But anyways, let's go back to the past. In 2012, I graduated, 2013, 2012, 2013, I graduated from the conservatory in Toronto. I'm living in this condo. Rent was high. And what did I decide to do? I decided to go all in, but this is what I did. I took out a loan. I took out a line of credit in the bank, and I was literally like paying my rent and buying all my stuff with that. Because I was telling myself, I'm going to book work, I'm going to book work, I'm going to book work. And I was right. I was right. I did book work. I put all my energy on all the auditions that I had at that moment, put everything I had just learned in the conservatory, and I went tunnel vision, which I'd always been tunnel vision, but I really, really worked my ass off, took all the time that I had. And I knew I had that luxury of not having a distraction, not having another job to distract me, and even to put in some stresses like, oh, I don't have the time to go to that audition, right? My schedule was clear. Every opportunity that came, I could say yes to. All the networking events, all the auditions, which were usually during the day. So if you have a 9 to 5, it was kind of hard to go to audition. And that was in the time where there wasn't many self-tapes, okay? Nowadays, most auditions on self-tapes. So you do that on your own time, at home, you send it to casting. So it's a whole different world. But back then, we had to go in the room a lot more than now. We would go there. It was usually like in, the late morning, early afternoon type thing. So people who had a 9 to 5 technically could not show up to these auditions. And this is where it's kind of like what's the word? Paradox. It's like you got to be free in order to act, to go to auditions, but they don't guarantee that you'll book them, right? So how are you supposed to like survive and make money in the between? And so this is what this conversation is about. This is what I'll suggest that you should do. So I ended up booking one of my biggest roles, which was called, well, Heartland, the TV show. It's a show about horses, and it was great. And I received my first check within a month or so, and it was $9,000. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is my first check from the show, and 9K, yay, that's gonna last me forever. But I also didn't really have an understanding of like money and how to save money, what to do with the money that I had. And I had this fear of even looking at my money. And that's been a whole other journey for me as well, like money mindset. And in the last 3 years, I went all in on money mindset, honestly, and I changed my relationship with money. I'm still in the process of that. But a lot of lessons that I wish I'd known back then was things like that. Like, yes, I made 9K through acting. It's amazing, but um, how do I save that money? Like, what do I do with it? Like, I didn't realize, and I didn't want to believe that maybe I wasn't going to work for the next few months or the next year or whatever, right? Because that's reality. Like sometimes you work and you're making great money, and it's the money's flowing and you're acting and you're feeling so good. And the next minute you're not booking work, or you're not even auditioning for a long time, and you might not even work for a year, right? Everything's possible, right? I'm not saying this is what's going to happen to you, but it happened to me. It happens to other people that have been on a TV show for years, and then they don't work for a year or 2 years. So it can happen to everybody. And I just want you to have that in mind, to know, to learn from my mistakes, that if you're able to have a smooth transition, if you're able to keep your job right now, do it. keep that safety, that stability. Because I have something I'm trying to also unravel. It's like black or white thinking, you know? If I'm actor, I can't be anything else. Or, you know, it's either all in or not in at all. Like life is not like that. Life isn't black or white. And I think you'll save yourself a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear and a lot of like dysregulation and ups and downs, like crazy major ups and downs, if you take what I'm giving you today and move forward with it. So, so what to do? You know, what if you have a job right now and you want to do acting full time? What should you do? Should you quit now and like go for it? Well, maybe. But here's what I would say: if you do want to do that, make sure that you have a safety net, right? That you have money put aside so that you could survive, not just survive, thrive, for the next few months while you develop your acting journey. Okay. Eventually, yes, maybe within a few months, you'll book a gig and it'll be full time and you'll have to quit your job. And I wish that for you. I wish that for you so hard. Um, but if you do have a job right now, I will tell you now, it is possible to create an acting career while you have a job. It is absolutely possible. You will probably have to make some changes or let your boss know or let your clients know that you will be doing this. So, you know, if you're in a very good place, you might be supported. My people might support your dream, and I wish that for you. And they might say, "Hey, if you ever have an audition, go for it. I'll cover for you. I support you, and I hope you book stuff, right? We can work around you." So talk to the people around you. Let them know this is something you want to start doing. Um, and I wish that for you, that you have something flexible enough to be able to do that. Now, in this reality of today, you do have the flexibility to be able to keep your job and also do the audition on the side, right? So, but this will have to come from you. You'll have to find the energy, the motivation, the inspiration to, after a full day's work, or maybe before, focusing on learning the lines for the audition, taking the time to film your self tape, etc. on the outside times, you know, on the weekends. There's a lot of auditions on the weekends, so I'm giving you right now this glimmer of hope is that a lot of auditions are throughout the weekend. Often at the end of the week, I get a bunch of auditions that are due the week after. So take the weekends. You can absolutely take the weekends to build your acting career, and night and early mornings. Okay. So I would tell people to keep their job and slowly but surely get more and more opportunities and um, slowly transition into the new reality. Okay. So, what does that look like? First, before anything, I would tell you, if this is just a dream and you have no idea where to start, I would always say get an acting class. Okay, do an acting class, hopefully in person, because you can go meet people. This will start your network and your opportunity attraction when you go to any acting school part time, and start to develop that skill, right? So that definitely no need to quit any type of jobs, because that's usually on outside hours, you know, not during the 9 to 5. It's usually at night, on weekends, and things like that. So go for that. Absolutely. The other thing is, once you decide to go find an agent, which you can do right now, by the way, you don't have to wait for anything to find an agent. You can go and find an agent right now. I'm telling you this right now, right now, right now. Start to look for an agent. Um, Even if you don't have experience, because it's about the person seeing potential in you and how you look and having a place for you and this relationship you develop. And I've known tons of actors that were not actors before they were on TV shows and things like that, who fully became an actor without even trying, without even going to school and all that. We'll get into that in different episodes. I go all over that in my programs and my workshops, and my ebook. Um, but anyways, you don't have to quit your job. But what an agent will say and sort of look for is someone who's really dedicated and someone who has the space or will make the space for the opportunities, right? So they want to know that you will be committed, that you won't have an excuse for not showing up or bringing the audition to them. Okay. Um, that's what they're concerned about, is that you're not fully invested, that you're going to prioritize different things. And that is what they might hesitate to sign you. But if they know that you will show up, you will bring those things to them, then great. And so I want to talk about something I noticed in my friends who didn't have another career, who were full-time actors, taking a job at a restaurant for survival, obviously, as we all need to pay for our lives. I saw them start to say no to opportunities because of a shift that they had at work. And that made me really sad to notice that, oh my God, like these people want to be actors, but they're starting to identify as a server or a manager of a restaurant and putting all their time and all their efforts and prioritizing that and forgetting what their actual goal was, right? So if you're going to have a job to support you, which I recommend so that you feel safe and supported and that you have money coming in, any type of money making opportunity on the side will support you. It will not take away from your dream. Unless you start to identify as that person, as the server, as the administrator, or as the whatever. I want you right now, today, to start to identify as an actor. You are an actor, no matter if you've received money for it or not, whether you've started to learn about it or not, whether you've started to experience it or not. You are an actor. Manifestation, neuroscience, it's really about identity. Do you see yourself as the working actor? Do you see yourself as this person? And that's where I want you to be stubborn. Not like me, where I was stubborn and I didn't want to get a job. And so I found myself in like these crazy money situations. But I still was stubborn in the identity. I would not tell people that I work in a restaurant. I would tell them I'm an actor. Okay. For years, I had to do Uber Eats just because of the choices that I made in the past, where I took out that loan and that line of credit, and then I had to ask for help from the bank, and they gave me this loan that I had to pay back over all these years. And at that point I owed 20K. Like, they put all my credit cards and stuff together, and I paid it back, and I just finished paying it back like last year. But what it allowed me, though, is that I went all in on the acting, and I was able to book work, right? I kept working as an actor, and built that identity in the world, and I was a famous person and all that stuff. But what really pains me, however, is that I was having to do Uber Eats while being famous. That was embarrassing for me. There's no shame in having side gigs. There is none, but I felt ashamed about it. So I would say, yes, keep your jobs, keep that financial stability and support from money. Keep that identity that you're a working actor, that you are an actor, no matter what else you're doing right now. Okay? Don't forget that identity part. And so slowly, surely, slowly, you will transition into maybe more of a full-time acting. But I'm telling you, acting isn't all the time. Even people who are on series, they work for 3 months, let's say, on the series, or 6 months, and then they don't. They have a lot of free space and a lot of free time. And I'm telling you right now, you will have the chance to keep your job and also to have days on set and start to book work and work on a TV show part-time while also keeping your job. And you'll be able to shift as you go, right? Maybe you all of a sudden will get a gig that'll make you busy for years, or it'll be a slow transition. And I'm telling you, you will have a lot of free time space. It's not all or nothing. It's not all of a sudden I'm going to act. How am I supposed to be an actor and do other things? No. You'll have time. You'll see. It's not all the time. It's little bursts of working, making money, and then a lot of free space as well. Okay. I wish you the all in vibes where you book something and it takes all your time and you're full time for that and for that series for years to come. I wish you that. But from my experience, even though I have 248,000 followers on Instagram now, I'm still in a place where I have a lot of time um, available to me when I'm not working, which is spent getting working on auditions and things like that. Okay, so it's already 30 minutes. Wow. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope this episode helped you. Please let me know if it did. Please reach out to me with any questions that you have. And remember, this dream isn't asking you to quit everything and jump right in. This dream is asking you to embody the identity of the actor and the working actor and knowing that you'll be someone who will experience their dream. Okay. So I will see you in the next episode. Next episode, I'm going to do a rapid Q&A of questions that I gathered from you guys on my Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me or find me, you can find everything in the show notes below. Already 31 minutes. I love you so much and talk to you real soon. Hey, before you go, do you want to receive a free ebook called How to Become a Professional Actor, 5 Steps to Living the Life of Your Dreams, where I walk you step by step to getting started today? It is infused with so much inspiration. I've got amazing feedback from this book, and I cry every time I read it. I wrote it with such inspiration, and all you got to do is give me a review on this podcast. It'll help so much. And screenshot the review and email me at theothersideofyourdreamlife@gmail.com. And I will send you the free ebook so that you can get started today and waste 0 time and get your acting career going or lifted to a whole new level. All right. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.